guys, welcome back to my last 1,000 rounds I'm gonna put through my Vska. Well, at least for testing purposes. Now before we get started, we gotta take some measurements because I forgot to do that in the 2,000 round video. If you haven't seen that video, leave a link for it right up here. But we gotta take some measurements. So I'm gonna get the no-go gauge, slip it in there, close it shut, then I'm gonna measure that gap so we have something to compare in the beginning, the middle, and then in the ending. Let's check it out. Alright guys, let's start here because I forgot to do this in the 2,000 round update. There is the 762 by 39 Sammy Spec no-go gauge by Manson. Gonna sneak that in here. God, I can't believe I forgot to do that in the 2,000 round update. Anyway, here, it's gonna push this forward so the extractor goes over the rim. Okay, I'm gonna give it a quick push. You can see my thumb turning white there. I'm not trying to fake that any. And now we have this gap left over. So let's give it some measurements here with the caliper, so we can get a general idea. I totally missed right there. Okay, here we go. Alright. And that's coming in at 0.492. Let's zero that out. Take one more. Alright. 0.493. Well, there's a 5 right there in the corner, so maybe 0.494. Whichever. At least we have a general idea now. Because my general feeling is, this is probably not going to close all the way on the no-go gauge, but now we have a measurement to reference it from to see if this gap is closing quicker than it should. So enough about that. Let's go do some shooting. Alright guys, I'm back out here in the desert. It's pretty early in the morning, but most importantly, we're here with Century Arms Vska. We're going to be putting some more rounds through here. Now I'm going to stop at around 800 rounds. I want to save some rounds for Clark County when I get it on the bench and do some accuracy testing and see how this does at right around that 3,000 mark. Today we're going to be running a bunch of Magpul items. I have a few of their MOE magazines, a couple of those Gen M3 mags, a couple of those couplers, and a bunch of those Ranger plates. So I'm going to strip off this jacket, put on the vest, and see what it's like to pull those things out of a vest. I've never done that before, so that's going to be interesting. And of course, I'm going to be letting it cool down. I'm going to be running the no-go gauge through here and taking the measurement to see if I'm getting any excessive headspace. So enough talking, let's do some shooting. Alright guys, nothing like starting off your morning with a little bit of fireball and help from Magpul's 30 round Gen M3 magazines. Great stuff. Nothing like recording yourself, because when you do it, recording yourself doing anything, you can see the mistakes and correct them. Alright guys, gonna take a quick break. Got around 300 rounds through the Vska. Check out that stock. It's just seriously hanging in there. No wiggle at all. So I'm gonna be sliding in the no-go gauge right here. Let's see if I can managed to put this in here without letting it fall on the ground. Oop, all right. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to push it forward. Extractor's over it. There we go. And we see that little gap in there. So let's take a quick measurement. Remember at home, I think it was at 0.48 or 0.49. That's at 0. Let's see what we got right now. I think that says 4.494, so it's hanging in there. Let's do 300 more rounds, and I think that's the last measurement I'm going to do till we get home, because I think it's going to hang in there. But let's do 300 more. Alright, here we go. Magpul magazine couplers. I got 30 on one side and 30 on the other side. It's important that you stagger them. So the one that goes in first is the shorter one, then you transition over to the one that's stacked a little bit higher. And since we got better lighting here, I wanted to point out the ejection pattern. So throughout the entire day, I didn't have any malfunctions. So that was between 750 and 800 rounds, and they were just flying out there. Now, I'm not too comfortable with the AK rocking the magazine in yet, so if you want a good practice, having these couplers is a really good way to do that. Then when you get better, you'll just be able to exchange magazines even quicker. So if you want to get maybe 2 or 3 of them together, or maybe even 5 or 6, you'll have a whole bunch of practice and a whole bunch of more ammo you can burn through even quicker. Alright guys, I'm already at 700 rounds. I can't believe how fast I went through that ammo. I guess it's really easy when you got those Magpul magazine couplers and a ton of magazines. Here's a look at the stock, right? No movement here, no movement here. Here is the no-go gauge right here. And I'm gonna see if I can slip this in here. Let's see. Is that in? I think that's in. Yep. Okay. Nope. Nope. Oh, is it? Yeah, I think I got it. Okay. That's over the extractor. Give it a couple pushes. You can see that gap right there. And remember, the measurement we're looking for is 0.49. 0.48-ish. And I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll make that go real close there. So that's at 0. Let's take this reading. Okay. And, yep, 0.498. So I don't think I'm going to do any more readings because it's hanging in there really, really good. Maybe I'll do some no-go stuff, but I'm going to shoot a little bit more, save some ammo for, like I said, Clark County, so we can do some bench rest shooting and see how accurate the Vska is at around 3,000 rounds. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to start shooting some more, and I'll catch you guys at Clark County. All right, guys, it's about 7:30 in the morning, about 32 degrees. We're out here at Clark County. Let's see how the Vska does. All right, guys, finishing up the 1,000 rounds here at Clark County. You can see right there, you can back it up and look at it, that my cheek is not in that cut and back of the dust cover. Especially for me, with the length of pull, shooting off a bench, you got to get that cheek in that cut behind the dust cover, because when it's cold and the wood is whipping you in your cheek, you got to get it under control. Didn't have any malfunctions out there. I think the Vska did good. Let's see how it did at 25, 50, and 100 yards. Alright, so here's how the Vska did off the bench with iron sights. Now, keeping in mind, I don't use iron sights ever out to 100 yards. I always got some type of magnified optics. But here's what it did at 25 yards with irons. Here we go. So there's 3 down here and 2 up there. That's 25 yards. And here's what it did at 50 yards. Now, the holdover is should have been a little bit lower because the bullet is still climbing, but that's at 50 yards. And this next one here is 100 yards. And guys, keeping in mind, this right here, this took me around 10 to 15 shots to get it on paper because I wasn't too sure where to hold this thing. And then this is what it actually came out to. For me, I'm thrilled with this group. There's some guys out there that are going to be like, what? But there it is, 5 shots, 100 yards. For me, that's good. I think the Vska did pretty good, 25, 50, and 100 yards. So let's break it down, look inside, and have a look at the internals. There is the no-go gauge, 762 by 39, Sammy spec. Let's slip it on in there. All right, gonna ease it forward, get that over the extractor. Okay, perfect. You can see the white in my thumb there. I'm pushing that forward. That's at least 12 pounds of pressure. Let's measure that gap right there. Caliper at 0. Looking to stick around that 0.494 area. And 0.494. Perfect. Let's zero it out. Okay, is that good? 0. Give it one more measure. All right. And what is that? 0.495, 0.496. So the no-go gauge, you can see it's not anywhere near closing, and it's sticking around that same measurement that we first took at the beginning of the video. Looking good. Let's have a look inside. All right, here are the items from the top half of the receiver. Dust cover finish is looking good. No damage on any of the corners, so the dust cover is just being a dust cover. Recoil spring right around to there. Just want to show you that nothing abnormal happening there, just regular wear and tear signs of the shine, and of course it's being springy. It's a recoil spring. And onto the bolt. There is the bolt face. Gonna tilt it around so you can see the extractor claw. That's looking really nice too. No damage in the bolt face here. You can see the firing pin's looking really good. Still falling freely. That's a great sign. And let's have a look at, okay, right here I noticed that there's a little bit of a dent in there, but I don't know if that was there before. But that's about the extent to which I've seen in there. Most of it is just shining up in those certain areas where it's rubbing against the hammer down here. Rotating it around so you can see it's looking pretty nice. Going to flip it around to the other side so you can see that side. And nothing out of the ordinary there after 3,000 rounds, at least in my opinion. So the bolt looking really good, a little bit of shine on it, but doing really good. Here's the carrier. Here's that dovetail area. Now mine, unlike Robski's, like I was mentioning in the last video, has a little bit of mushrooming in here. You can see the ledge right in that area, right in here as well. And you can see that, flip it around so you can see that here, right along to that area. And you can see this area is folding in a little bit more as well, but that's so minor after 3,000 rounds. Now my cam channel isn't showing anywhere near as wear as Robski's, but as a whole, that's looking really, really good. Check that on that side, nothing there. Piston, of course, a little bit loose, but that's normal. And here is a look at the piston head. A little bit dirty, but still doing okay. Let's have a look at the inside of the receiver. Let's check out the rivets and the barrel pin to see if anything's backing out, if there's any gaps between the receiver and the rivets. So there is your barrel pin there. That's looking nice. As you can see, no gaps there. No gaps there. We'll keep running it through. Nothing there. Alright. All the way to the back. Right there. No spaces there all the way to this last guy right there. So looking good. I'm going to flip it over. And this guy right here is the other side of the barrel pin. So that's looking really nice. That's not backing out any. And you can see that side, no gaps there. No gaps in that rivet. All the way to this guy right here. Looking good. And that is also looking good. Now let's flip it over, have a look at the trigger guard area, because you have 4 rivets here. And I'm just going to move the trigger guard back and forth. Yep, those are holding steady. And just so you guys can see on the inside, that one's looking good. And those are also looking good on the inside. So I'm going to save the hammer for last, because Robski actually had something interesting happen to his hammer that I want to share with everybody. But let's have a look at the trunnion. I'm going to get it on the stand so we can have a better look. Change of plan, guys. I think I can get it with better lighting if I physically hold this and just kind of zoom in just a little bit and show you guys what I am looking at here. So what we're looking at first is this shoulder lug right in here. You can see there's some wear there and a little bit of light here. Right there, you can see it. So there's a little bit of wear where the carrier slides back and forth, but there's no missing chunks in there, which is really nice. Now another thing is, you see that line right here? Again, that line is part of the design. It's a keyway cut put in there to accommodate for the width of the bolt. So that's not a crack. All your Vskas are going to have that in there. So nothing suspicious in that area. I'm going to flip this around so we can see the other side. And right, boom. Yeah. Now we can see right in this area here. And again, what we're looking at are these areas here. And nothing seems to be missing, no chunks missing out of that area. So it's looking really nice in there. Now, according to Tim's video from the Military Arms channel, I will agree with him there. I don't see a lot of wear happening on this side. The wear seems to be a little bit more on this rail and lug versus that side. Now, again, I don't have a lot of AK experience, but it would make sense to me for the wear to be even. But so far, it hasn't caused me any issues. So let's cover the wood and have a look at the front side and the gas tube, and let me show you what happened to the hammer. Alright, here is a look at the gas tube wood, looking really good. Let's have a look at the front end of it. Yeah, nothing crazy going on in there. Turn it around to that side. And I'm looking in there while you guys are looking in there. I don't see anything crazy, so this is good. Now, the handguard I didn't take off in the last video. This is looking really good. Again, this palm swell feels really good. But when I took it off, a little bit of Burning Man in there. In fact, let's give that a good smell. Ah, so good, barbecue. But that wood is still holding up pretty good in there. But you know, when you feel it's kind of lightweight, it doesn't feel too high quality. But I think for what we're using it for, this is going to be fine. Let's have a look at the muzzle. What I want to show you is this here, the pins holding on the front side. Those aren't backing out any, so that's nice. And let me see if I can get a good angle of the gas block right there. So nothing strange going on in there. It's all looking pretty good. That's nice. Okay, perfect. So now the last thing I want to show you guys is what the hammer looks like on this thing. Now the hammer's fine, but Robski had a visitor on his hammer, and I think I have one in mine too. Let's check it out. I'm just gonna leave this right here. Alright, so buy a Vska, get a free dude on your trigger hammer. Well guys, that's it. 3,000 rounds through the Vska. I'm not going to take it up to 5,000 rounds because I think 3,000 rounds is enough to figure out how a rifle is going to act. Now I'm not going to throw my rifle on the ground because that's not how I treat my rifles. But I know some guys are interested in that, but I'm just not going to do it. So I'm not going to figure out if that sling ring is going to break in like Robski's, but I'm pretty sure it will because it doesn't look too solid. I can imagine it getting beat up and breaking just like his. But the overall finish of the rifle is still looking good. The Parkerization is hanging in there. The wood It's in good shape, but the handguard here is a little bit loose. Gas tubes normally do rattle around a little bit from what I notice. Other people's AK-47s. So a little bit of looseness there, but the wood is in great shape. The most important part here is the buttstock. This thing is solid this way and that way. Show you guys that way. And that's in great shape. The most damage I've seen on this rifle is the bolt carrier dovetail. It's got a little bit of mushrooming in there, but after 3,000 rounds, I think that's pretty normal. Malfunction wise, if you guys are going to get mag pulls, I say kind of skip the MOE, spend a little bit more money, get those Gen M3 magazines. I had no problems with those. Other than that, guys, this rifle is doing really good. I would seriously recommend it. I don't know what happened again at the James Yeager event, but my Vska did really well, and I can recommend it to you guys. So guys, that's the ending of this video. I hope you found it useful. If you liked it, please give me the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to Chemo365, please do. And remember, I'll catch you guys later.